Hi guys, Kendall Bonner here with my friend Taz Weatherly. It is so nice to have you on the show here today, and thank you so much for sharing your story. And yeah, and just let's just get into it. I want to know a little bit about your real estate journey. I think the audience wants to hear. Tell us how you started and how you got to where you're at right now in your career.
Oh, no, thank you, Kendall, so much for having me. Like, you've been such a blessing in my life. And honestly, the whole real estate thing for me is kind of different than most. Like, you know how some people just really want to get into real estate? That was never my thing. I wanted to get into actually making beer commercials for the Super Bowl. That was like my lifetime dream job since I was 13, actually. Obviously, that never happened. But long story short, how I got into real estate was completely by accident. So I used to work in tech, and I was one of the first people to work from home before it was cool. And I would work at coffee shops. And one day I went to a local coffee shop, and I kid you not, that day, 7 people came up to me on the same day and said, "You need to get into real estate." And I was like, okay, call it God, Allah, universe, whatever you believe in. This is too much of a sign. I need to go get my license. So get my real estate license. And I'm like, cool, I'll do this part time, like no problem, right?
Yeah.
6 months later, I get laid off from my 9 to 5 job. And of course, at this time, I'm like 26 maybe. So I'm like, making money, spending money, have no concept of savings. And like all of a sudden the rope gets pulled under you. And I'm like, oh shit, like, what do we do? And so I'm like, I have this real estate license. I'm going to go into it. And was thankful enough to just have great opportunities at certain points that allowed me to be a part of 20 million in sales my very first year. And it just grew to, the follower count, all of that stuff that you see, to where I've had a very successful career in real estate, and it's been really fun. And now it's also like fun to explore new parts of real estate, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's so cool. And to see that level of success so quickly, there's got to be something that you did that you would attribute to that level of success. Do you mind sharing with me, like maybe just one tip, one thing that you did that was like, you
Yeah.
know what? I'm glad I did that.
Well, I'm glad. Well, that's a great question, actually. Like, the one thing, because looking at that time, again, this is like circa 2017, 2018, somewhere in there when I'm starting, to where also to set the lay of the land, like social media isn't what it is now at that time. Like, it was brand new, and people ask me like, were you able to do that? And I just tell them like, I simply would post videos on LinkedIn, and these videos were ahead of its time in the sense that now you have a lot of curated content that's really like, my life's perfect. The content I was doing at that time, just because I was in such a like scrappy like grind mode, was just flip on the camera. It didn't matter what I was doing. I would be brushing my teeth, looking like I'm going to a meeting, walking down the street listening to music. It didn't matter. But all I did was make videos trying to educate people on the housing market, and being like, hi, I'm starting a business. I have no freaking clue what I'm doing, but I'm going to try this today. I'm going to try this. And from there, just having that natural curiosity, and also owning the fact that, hey, I'm new at this. I'm not going to pretend that I know exactly what's happening, but here's some market data and I can educate you on what's happening. It kind of evolved from there. So like, even now I don't make as much content as I used to. Like, I'm almost out of the content game completely. It's just still funny because I still get messages, and people here locally or even across the country are just like, I remember your videos. You were like one of the first. And hell, Kendall, there's one time when I was on Swipe Life, trying to find the love of my life. I was swiping in a different location, like a different state. And I had a guy I matched with that was like, oh my gosh, are you Tazz from LinkedIn? I watched your videos. And I'm like, I don't know if this is great or mortifying, but thank you, sir. So
That's funny. That's a good story.
it is.
Yeah, well, I once had someone stop me at a Chipotle asking me if I was who I was because they were watching my videos, but I think, like, that's the power of video,
For sure.
and, I don't think that it's dead. I still think like video is still a big deal. But, you mentioned that you're transitioning, right? You're getting out of the content game. I want to know, kind of where do you see the future going? Like, what are you most excited about heading into 2024 and beyond?
I'm okay. I'm a little nervous to say this because I feel like it goes against the grain of the industry, but it's also necessary, especially with the whole AI. Everything's happening really fast. But where I think the industry is going to go is you're going to get inundated with a lot of tech to where then people are actually going to crave and starve for creativity and connection. And that's where I think the next couple of years are headed. Even though we're getting inundated right now with a lot of tech, it's almost like when you're overstimulated, similar to like a place like New York, right? We just got back from Inman, and everybody is so like they have their blinders on, right? And with
Right.
all the tech that's happening in the industry, every realtor's on social media, everyone's doing all of that. I feel people are going to start getting tunnel vision and crave basic connection. So what the industry has taught us is maintain relationships, but maintain true connection. That's where the industry's headed if you are wanting to be successful in this industry. Because also, if you look at the different demographics of buyers, right? You have the retirees, the downsizers on one end, and on the far extreme, you have Gen Zs. Well, right now, downsizing people are the best type of leads because they still crave, they're trustworthy. Like that's how their generation operates. Also, they crave connection and love to be guided. Whereas now you have Gen Zers who have all of this information on the tip of their fingers. Like, why would they actually ever need real estate assistance when they have all the information on their phones? So I just think that the more that you can create connection, true connection, like knowing people, knowing their backstory, and then also having a creative element in content, because content specifically is so overused. You have your hook, line, and sinker essentially, right? Everybody is teaching this on social media. It's like kind of annoying because it lacks creativity. It's like, here's the algorithm, run the algorithm. But I do think that when you can create something, and maybe that's co-creating with AI, I'm not fully against AI, but to co-create into something that really resonates with you and can resonate to other people, that's what I believe is going to be where the success lies.
Wow. That's so co-create. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, that's the
You
thing.
know?
I think we forget that though, like especially as realtors, whatever industry you're in, you're always co-creating and collaborating with people or something. Like you're never really doing anything alone unless you're maybe meditating out in the woods, breathing, right? Like you breathe, but that's really it, right? But anything you interact with, you're always co-creating with someone or something.
So how do you plan to take that to the masses? Like, what is on the road for you with that?
Great question. I haven't necessarily figured it out in like how to promote that message. And ideally it would to be on more platforms. And the interesting part about real estate that I think is really um under how do I want to say it? People don't really make it a big deal, but it's actually probably the biggest deal. Is in the real estate industry, you can learn so much about business in general. Like the game of business is in real estate. And that's the part that I feel a lot of agents coming in or even established, right, haven't really grasped. And I say that because when you're a new agent, right, the first thing on your mind is like sales, let's sell, sell, sell. Like I want to be number one more times than not. Whereas on the other end of the extreme, you have people that, have been doing this 20, 30 years and are tired, but they're really good at what they do. And what I've
Mhm.
noticed on my consulting, because I consult for small business owners, is that every business, especially in real estate, has the same amount of issues, and it's usually operational. And operations is not a sexy thing to say. Like, we've joked about this a lot, but it's like tell people systems and processes and it goes right over their head, but tell them social media marketing, they're like all ears. And really, when I consult and look at real estate agents' businesses, insurance, mortgage, any small business I consult on, they all have the same problems, which is operations. So my challenge into getting this messaging out that I have is I plan on getting on bigger platforms, doing more interviews, ideally speaking more about it. But this is also so new because I have been searching for someone that kind of talks about it and I haven't found it yet. So I'm like, okay, am I going to be the one that starts it? That's great. I don't know what to do. So luckily I have a great network at EXP to help leverage that message. So I think I'm going to actually start there. That's my plan.
I'm not mad at that, and, honestly, that is one of the things that I've, experienced too at EXP. Like, I've been at other brands before, and they're great, and they have great leadership, and they have great humans on them. I think every good brand has great people, right? That's common. But the one thing I do well, I have many good things to say about EXP, but one of the things I will say about EXP from that perspective is there are so many, like, collaborative contributory people in that group. It's like a lot of content creators, a lot of givers, a lot of people who want to see other people win as well. Like they all have come to EXP, or a lot of them have come to EXP and just continued that messaging. So
Mm-hmm.
speaking of EXP, why did you choose EXP Realty? What brought you over to the company?
Well, I always tell everyone and I say that because I had been recruited multiple times by people, right? I feel like that's a message that a lot of people hear. Like when people ask me who I'm with and I'm like, oh, EXP, like they kind of go, you quit your brokerage, like you totally disbanded your brokerage that you own to go to EXP. And I'm like, I know. And then they kind of get this wall up because I feel like they've been recruited too, but in a sense, not in a way that makes sense. So the biggest reason I moved to EXP is when you explained how the model works and how many available options there are to, you know, grow, to collaborate, to make money, whatever that is. I was just like, holy cow, this is insane. But the number one reason for me personally was the exit plan. And that I have found, like going back to the whole consulting and what I do on the opposite end of the spectrum when I'm not doing real estate, is that most small business owners don't have a plan to exit their business. And that's the number one thing I had seen in real estate is like, here's people that have such a great book of business, but they don't know, they don't have the systems or infrastructure to sell it. So they can't make money off of it. But two, they haven't planned for what happens when they stop selling real estate, hence why they continue to sell. And it was the possibility of an exit strategy with EXP that was the one that I was like, oh, great, because for me, I'm not going to be in real estate forever. Like I'm just the kind of person that, sure, I was a realtor, now I actually own a team, and now I also consult on businesses. Like I just have a progression. But for people that truly love this industry, love being the salesperson, love it, EXP has the best exit strategy of all brokerages out there that I recommend people go look at. Like people need to look at that so that way they know what's going to happen when they cannot sell anymore or don't.
Yeah, I definitely think that that is a great piece of advice, right? I mean, we're an industry that doesn't have a retirement plan typically. We're an industry that, we don't even teach our people how to truly own a business that is actually sellable at the end of a career, right? It's something that you
Mhm.
can struggle with. And I know for me too, retirement, I came over for relationship, much like you, right? Like started with relationship, but then you grow and you learn, and then you're like, "Oh, wow, there's this whole world of opportunity that I didn't even know existed." Number 1, or number 2, I was misled about, or I misunderstood, or I listened to the noise as opposed to really truly being open to what was actually being the opportunity that was actually that existed
Present.
before me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And I will say, like, as an agent, right, like we had a similar transition into EXP where you need the right upstream person, which for those of you that are watching, that basically means your sponsor or the person that brings you on. You need to have the right person to be under in order to really get the benefits. And I'm so thankful that I had met you at FubCon and all and how we got together. But just being in a brokerage like this, I have had more access to people across the country, more opportunities to, work on my passion, which is, helping small business owners be systematic, predictable in their sales, all of that. But then also do things that I never thought I would, which is now like helping on developments, bringing in investors, like all of this stuff because of the level of support that I got. It's insane to me. And this is not a pitch to join EXP. This is just sharing my experience. And I kid you not, I wish more people would share it because this is the best brokerage that's out on the market. And that's like no bullshit. Like I left my brokerage to come here and I'm so thankful I did.
Oh, yeah, I have to ditto that, and I that makes me so happy, because we do have such a fun story how we met. And I'm gonna share it really quick because I think
Please
it's so
do
cute.
share it.
Yeah, it's such a great story. So, Taz and I, prior to, I'll say the summer of 2023, did not know each other existed, right?
Not at
And
all.
so we, met at FubCon, and specifically what happened was Follow Boss, we both use this as our CRM, did a mastermind prior to the event starting. So we both came into this like private invite only mastermind where everyone in the mastermind had to, not everyone, but most people had to come in prepared to share a tip, a strategy, like something, clutch that they had to the entire audience. So I will never forget. Taz went up there and she shared which what she talked about similarly earlier in the interview about her LinkedIn program, like building a profile on LinkedIn, building out systems and processes with video, introducing people to Boise, Idaho. And like, I was so impressed with what she built. I was like, ooh, I want to meet her. And I will never forget. I totally had, of all those people that spoke, you were the one that I wanted to connect with after. But when the event was over, I think you had left earlier and I didn't get to like catch you after the event. So I don't know, let's fast forward 1 or 2 nights later, I
Mhm.
had a business dinner at a restaurant 2 blocks away from the hotel, and we had a small group in our private dinner. It was like and we had 1 person missing, so we had this extra seat. And in comes Taz, walked right upstairs, like and it's almost seemed like she was planning to be somewhere with someone, but it wasn't us.
I was in the wrong room.
She went to the wrong room, and so she ended up but our group was like, "Come sit with us," and I was like, "I know you, you definitely come sit," because I was like, "Oh, this is perfect, she gets to sit next to me, and I get to, like, talk to her and meet her." So she ended up having a lovely dinner, I think it was a great dinner with great
Mhm.
humans,
Right?
and, she and I have been thick as thieves ever since, and so I just am so grateful for our friendship and our partnership, and also
Mhm.
to your trust at EXP. That was never my intention when I met you to bring you to EXP, but I'm so glad to be able to work with you
Yeah, that
because
like
I think you're amazing.
well, to that point though, EXP was never like a blip on my radar until I like had asked you like, okay, why did you do this? And then you have this incredible freaking process of like organized information. This is like one of my favorite things. Tell me more, daddy. But like your presentation on where to get the information was so clear that it allowed me to do my research. You're always such a good like resource. But then after cross-referencing what I got with you versus any other agent that recruited me for EXP, which did feel like it was like, I want your profit. I want like, right. I was like, no, I want to help and co-create with people. You come have this all laid out and then the model makes sense. So yes, that is how we met. That is the story of EXP, but that's also why I think we're fans of it is because it allowed opportunities like that to happen that I never would have gotten anywhere else.
Yeah, well, I love you, queen,
I know.
and
Thanks
thank you so much
so
for
much.
doing this interview with me. I'm so grateful for you, and, I just want nothing but success for you, and I know I'm gonna get to
We're going to do it.
experience it and watch it happen, so I'm excited.
Thank you. And I appreciate it, Kendall. And thank you so much for being not only so kind, but a great leader. And I feel like the real estate industry needs more leadership to guide this industry to something different, like to whatever it is, because there's a lot happening in our industry right now, a lot of things just happening. But as an industry, we need more leaders. And so thank you, Kendall, for being a top notch leader in this industry.
Well, thank you, Taz. I genuinely appreciate you, and my feelings for you are just I have a big heart for you. So,
Thank you. Thank
for so many reasons. So, all right. Well,
you.
thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. And if you have any questions, how can they find you, Taz? If anyone wants to connect with you, learn more about what you're doing,
Yeah,
how
no,
can they
awesome. I don't know if there's do we have notes at the bottom or anything that's attached to this? I don't know. I'm just, if
I
not,
can add.
okay, perfect. If not, you guys can find me on LinkedIn. It's Taz Weatherly. Oh, this is my name. This is hard to do. This is my name. Just type that in the search bar. Also on Instagram, you can find me, and then literally my email's taz@realestatewithtaz.com. So if you have any questions, want to know more information of any of the things that I talked about, feel free to shoot me something, and I'll get back to you.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a fabulous day, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Yeah.
Bye.